Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome to the video. Well, the time has finally come. All of the work is done and all of my projects are done, so it's only a matter of time before I'm out here detailing. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I take you through the final episode of the Studio Build series. Alright, well, when we left off in episode 11, I had just finished getting the countertops installed, sinkholes cut out, and then got them painted, and I also got the grating cut for the drain pit, and got that painted and looking sweet as well. Now, like I mentioned in the last one, I've got a few of my own projects left to take care of, but the first project here is to get the TV hung on the wall. But before I can do that, I need to get some HDMI cable run through the conduit here, as I plan on having a desk area on the other side of the wall. And this way I can run stuff off the computer if I wanted, so with the cable in the wall I can finally dig into the TV, which is a 65-inch Samsung QLED I picked up from Costco. And members of the main channel would know that I bought this a few months ago now, so it's kind of been killing me to not be able to put it up until now. Now, I'm not sure about you guys and where you buy your TV mounts from, but I get mine from Monoprice because they've got really good stuff at great prices. So making sure everything is aligned properly and nice and level, I'll get the mounting plate up on the wall. Alright, with the TV up on the wall, I'll turn my attention now to the fun stuff, and that is the audio system I'll be installing today. Now, I know I've talked about this a bit in previous videos, but I went with the same system as what I have in my house, which is from HTD or Home Theater Direct, and basically what it is a whole house audio system that lets you have 6, 12, 18, or even more zones where you can independently control and listen to music in each zone from a variety of sources. So anyways, the work today is going to start with the speakers, which I also got from HTD, as they sound fantastic. Here's a closer up look of them, and they even come with 2 different grill options, which is nice. But as I get to work, I figured I'd explain things to you guys in case you haven't seen the earlier episodes. Now, back in episode 4, I believe it was, I built speaker boxes out of MDF for the 10 interior speakers I'll have in the building, and crawled around the rafters running all the speaker wire for them. And you'll notice that I've left quite a bit of extra wire here, and that's to allow me to stand a little lower on the ladder when I'm hooking the wires up, instead of having to do that at the top of the ladder with my hands over my head. Basically just something I learned from doing this before. Alright, with all the interior speakers installed now, I'll turn my attention to the exterior speakers, which I got from Monoprice, and I've actually been using in my backyard for a number of years, so I know these work great. But yeah, the process here is pretty simple. Just install the bracket over a couple of screws, aim the speaker, and boom, I'll be able to listen to music in front of the studio for when I'm taking all the before and after shots of vehicles. Okay, with all the speakers installed now, it's time to start getting the other end of the wires ready to plug into the amplifier. So I'm going to take a few minutes now and strap all the wires together and basically just make things neat and tidy in here. Okay, so here's the equipment that comprises the audio system, and this is the 12-channel amp you're looking at right now, which is what will power the speakers, and the other box here is the main control unit, which is where you plug all the sources into. But the first step is to get some banana plugs put on the end of the wire, and I also got these from Monoprice if you were curious. But the process here is to first strip the outer jacket of the speaker wire, and then strip each end of the wires off, unscrew the banana plug, feed the wire through the end, and then bend some of the speaker wire back over the edge, and then you simply screw the other piece back on, and boom, you've got a really good and strong connection. Okay, here's what it looks like with all the speakers plugged in, and then the next step is to plug in the RCA cables from the main unit to the amp, which will carry the audio signal from the source inputs. Alright, well here's the almost finished look, but we've got one thing left to do, and that's to get the audio system keypads installed. But those use a Cat6 Ethernet cable, so having already pre-run and labeled all those last fall, I'll grab the two wires I need and get to work terminating the ends to a standard RJ45 end. And if you guys haven't worked with Ethernet cable before, it's basically one wire with 4 pairs of twisted wires inside, so 8 wires total. So the first thing to do is to carefully strip the outer jacket, separate each of the wires, and then they each need to be fed through this tiny little piece that orders and aligns the wires perfectly. And of course, there is a very specific order these colored wires have to go in. I'm using the T568B wiring scheme, but either the A or B are fine as long as the cable is the same on both ends. But as you can imagine, it can be a little tricky getting the tiny wires fed through this piece when you've got big hands like I do, so it's definitely a little finicky, but I eventually will get them all through, and then I can crimp one of the ends on it. And once I'm done that, I'll do the same thing to the other end of the cable that plugs into the controller. Okay, well, carrying right along to the other small project, and that's to get a couple of these shelving units built. Now, I picked these up from Costco way back in the spring, I think, so it feels good to get them built and off the floor. And both of these are going to live on the shop side here, where I'll likely just fill them up with random stuff. Alright, well, we're going to shift gears a bit now and head outside. We're out in front of the studio. It's finished off with reclaim, but I haven't had the chance to do in front of the shop yet. So I'll grab Bobby and get to work, starting by scooping out a bit of the clay right by the doors, as it was only built up to make a little driveway for the Bobcat and tractor to get in and out easier. So by taking a bit out now, I'll be able to fit a few more inches of reclaim in on top. Okay, moving back inside now, and it's time to unbox a whole bunch of goodies I ordered for myself. So what we're looking at here is basically my new pressure washer setup, starting with the new hose reel I bought. Then there's a couple of new hoses, a wall mount to put the pressure washer on, which also comes with a remote controlled auto start stop feature, and then the new pressure washer itself. Alright, well here it is guys. This is my new pressure washer, which is basically the same as my old one. This is a 1900 PSI electric Bertolini pressure washer that pushes 2 gallons a minute, and it's still a 110 volt unit, though I do have a 220 volt plug ready to go in the mechanical room should I ever decide to upgrade in the future. I got all this stuff from greencanpump.ca here in Canada, and while I realize this is a pretty pricey unit, I know from experience with my other one that it's very high quality, and that's ultimately why I chose to buy from them again. Alright, well first step to the install today is to get the hose reel mounted, and as the pressure washer is going on the wall in the mechanical room, I'll also have to drill a hole through the wall to run the hose through. Okay, well on the other side of the wall now, I've already got the wall mount anchored to the wall with some really beefy leg bolts, so I'll get the pressure washer secured to the mount with a few more bolts. Alright, next step here is to get everything plumbed. So using some joint compound, I'll get to work putting the fittings on. Basically this piece has quick connect fittings for the pressure washer hose and then the garden hose for the water supply, and also has a pressure regulator on it as well. Next step here is to wire the remote controller from the wall mount into the pressure washer control unit so that when the unit is turned on, it's just in standby mode, and the moment I pull the trigger on the pressure washer handle, it turns the motor on, and then turns off a few seconds after I release the handle, as there's a remote transmitter in the handle itself. Pretty cool. And once that's done, I'll wire up a standard plug so I can plug it in. Alright, well with the pressure washer installed, it's time to start on the very last project, and that's to get my new vacuum installed. But first, I'm starting with the cover plates for the vac outlets in the studio. This is a very easy process here. Just hook up the wires to the outlet, and then when I plug the hose in, the metal ring on it completes the circuit and the motor turns on. Alright guys, well here is the vacuum, and like I've mentioned before, it's a VacuFlo Max Air dual motor unit, which is their most powerful vacuum they make. Now I've been using a smaller 466Q unit in my house for years now, and I've been very happy with how well it works. It's basically a workhorse, as I frequently have it running for hours at a time, and this new unit should be just as good and give me about double the suction that my other vacuum has, so I'm pretty excited to use it. Okay, well with it up on the wall, the next step is to measure and plan out the route for the exhaust tubing, which believe it or not has to be metal tubing and not just regular vac tubing. I guess since the unit has two motors in it, it gets a bit hot when it's running, so the exhaust is much hotter as a result, and that means I have to use 2-inch metal tubing, which believe it or not wasn't an easy thing to find around here. I ended up having to buy some from a local muffler shop as none of the vacuum places carried it, so after carefully measuring, I'll get all my pieces cut. And then due to the high exhaust temperature, I also have to use a special high heat silicone to seal the fittings, and then just a self-drilling metal screw to hold things in place. Okay guys, well now that all the projects are done, we can take a look at what everything is looking like now, and I gotta say, it's all come together fantastically. It seems like forever ago that I started designing what this place would look like, and really put some good thought into all the electrical and wiring needs, and even what my pressure washer setup would look like, so it's awesome to be able to see it all come together like this. Now a couple other things I did but didn't film was to put a hookup for my vacuum hose and my squeegee, and then I also got all the security cameras installed on the exterior of the building. I may have got a little bit overkill here, but I didn't want any blind spots, so I've got every corner covered very well. And then one thing you guys probably never knew about was my washer and dryer. This has been sitting over in the shop for a good 6 months or so, as I bought a stackable unit on sale quite a while back, so this should be perfect for doing small loads of towels. Okay guys, well like all good things, this series has to come to an end, but it's a happy one at least because it means I'm going to be working in here very soon. Everything is done and it all looks fantastic, so I really can't wait. The last thing for me to do now is to do a final clean of everything and bring all of my detailing supplies and other stuff from the garage. And then I'm going to film a tour video of the shop and the studio. but that video is going to end up on the main channel, so be on the lookout for that as it is coming very soon. But yeah, thanks again for sticking with me and watching all of these episodes. I, for one, had a ton of fun documenting the process and making all these videos for you guys. So if you've enjoyed it thus far, make sure you smash the thumbs up button, leave me a comment down below, and yeah, I can't wait to get to work out here.